listeners, and welcome back to the Skylight Books podcast series. You're here for another Better Than the Movie. Better Than the Movie is the monthly series where three booksellers get together with a talented guest to discuss movie adaptations of books. I'm your co-host, Justin Reamer.
I'm Tyler Austin.
I'm Alan Traylor.
And today, our talented guest is our first three-peat, our first three-time guest. You know him. You loved him on The Swimmer. You knew him better. You loved him better on Total Recall. And you're going to know absolutely everything today on A Face in the Crowd. Buzzy Cohen.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah.
They said it couldn't be done. They said no one could do it 3 times.
Going for the turkey set.
I'm going for the turkey, the Gordie Howe hat trick.
You said curse be damned.
Exactly. I said curse be damned. So I'm excited to do this, and I had a great time watching, reading. I'm excited to dive in.
Yeah, so we didn't go with a timely one this time, so we're discussing the 1957 film A Face in the Crowd, written by Budd Schulberg and directed by Elia Kazan, who both have not at all problematic political pasts, and based on the short story by Schulberg called Your Arkansas Traveler, which was written a few years earlier. What inspired you to pick this for the episode today, Buzzy?
I have no recollection of where this came from.
Well, we did have sort of like a bandying back and forth.
We had a
thread,
bandying back and forth, but I don't know. I don't know how I knew that this was that movie was based on a short story. I don't know where this came from.
Interesting.
In me. Yeah,
because
it spoke through me.
Yes.
I had seen the movie years ago. I didn't even realize it was based on a story. So yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could remember. I must have been, I was a few miles outside Barstow when I had the idea to do A Face in the Crowd.
Feels like the curse is kicking in early. Some memory loss of some kind.
I think maybe, you know what? I think maybe I was looking at What Makes Sammy Run or something that, and somehow this came up.
Well, that's interesting. So for the listeners that don't know, Budd Schulberg wrote What Makes Sammy Run, which is one of the great Hollywood novels, fairly satirical. Wrote On the Waterfront for Elia Kazan to direct as well. I would say and a writer I like a lot, which leads my reactions today to be somewhat interesting. Just to tease that a little bit.
Yeah.
But
why don't we go around and say who read first and who watched first? Because I think that's an important thing.
Yeah.
Is that okay that I jumped in?
No. You nailed
it.
It's my third.
It's my third time, so I think I'm allowed to.
A
little bit.
Take all the liberties you like. Sure.
Yeah. No. I agree. I would say so. With me, I saw the movie first and loved it, and this was at a time I think I saw it maybe only on DVD, and it wasn't there was no fanfare. It was just a random Warner Brothers DVD, and I was like, hey, this is a great movie. Andy Griffith is great as the lead. Patricia Neal, Walter Matthau, just a great cast. I guess real quickly, the logline is just that Andy Griffith is this wandering dirtbag troubadour.
Vagabond. He's a vagabond.
He's a vagabond troubadour.
A hobo, if you will.
Yeah.
A hustler.
Who basically becomes the most...
Perhaps a demon.
most popular entertainer in America who wields scary political power eventually. That's the one sentence, I guess. And loved that movie. Watched it a couple times. The last time I watched it, oddly enough, was 2016, before a certain election.
Right.
Definitely, it was a repertory screening, and definitely the people that programmed it were kind of we knew then, and it's gonna go right this time.
Right. I think, you watch it and you're like, oh, so prescient in a way. I think being there, if we're going to talk about the movie that is prescient about what's going on, being there is that. This movie's not prescient. I think what we learn from this is that this has always gone on.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can imagine that there was someone in ancient Rome being like, that Caesar doesn't know what it's like to be a Cisalpine Gaul. And I do. And I'm going to tell you, right?
that's
1,000%.
This
is So yeah. Anyway, sorry.
No worries. So because of that,
And he does it now.
I never watched that movie again until today, but I'm glad that I had a reason to, because I once again loved the movie, and then I read the story as well.
Spoilers.
But to get back to Buzzy's initial question, when on this watch, did you read the story and then watch the movie, or watch the movie then read the story?
It was because of timing. I rewatched the movie first and then read the story.
Okay.
How about you?
I have seen this movie once, probably around the same time you saw it, or for the second time, 2016. Then I reread the story, immediately put the movie on, and was like, wow, they made some changes.
Alan?
Yeah, I watched the movie first, and then I read the story.
I'm the only one who read the story first. Had never seen the movie. Obviously, I knew them.
I'd also never seen the movie either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you watched first.
Yeah, I watched first. Yeah.
So I read first, and then I watched.
Yeah, you're like the people of 1952. You read the story first.
You know, these big city podcasters, they don't know what it's like to be a real American who has to read first before they can see the movie.
Yeah. I'll also tangentially, one of my favorite artists is Elvis Costello, and he wrote songs for a musical stage adaptation of this that hit the West End 2 years ago, and I've been very interested to see that. I haven't even listened to the songs or anything, but I'm intrigued by the people that are just coming to it that way, because that seems like the oddest way to come to the story.
Yeah, but it makes sense. I think I did take a class on American musical theater in college, and musicals that are about show people always always kills. It's like Showboat, Gypsy, all. So it makes sense. Music Man, show people. People are interested in show people too.
Yeah,
and it feels right to have them break into song as opposed to, I don't know, just normal folks like us from Cisalpine Gaul. Sorry.
I guess, let's just get into it and start to discuss our reactions as we go. Because I do feel like there are some people, because the film is in the Criterion Collection, there are some people who have checked this out. But I think this is probably a little bit more of a slept-on thing, and it's worth digging into and explaining what's up.
Sure. Was that what?
Yeah. So
we're gonna start.
Well,
I would say maybe
from the top.
Okay.
I guess that's a good question. Do we want to start talking about what happens in the story or what happens in the movie? But
probably movie. Right?
I think there are some notable changes, but what I was struck by was actually how closely it hewed to the story and the beats of the story as well. I mean, they kind of elided a few things that happened in the story, but it really was okay, she discovers him. Okay, do we want to go?
Well, that's what I would say. There are changes.
Yeah.
Tonally and character-wise, that is what I'm reacting to in my elliptical way. But you are right. I think in a sort of structural beat by beat way, it is pretty dead on.
Which makes sense. I mean, it's the same. Budd took his story. Yeah. The thing, I'm just going to go into the different, difference in the film. The thing that struck me was that Marcia Jeffries, I believe is her name. Yeah. Marshmallow.
Mm-hmm. My marshmallow.
Consummates the relationship with Lonesome Rhodes, and B, seems to really want that relationship in some way. And the short story it's first person. It's from her point of view. And so looking back after watching it.
And kind of like a breathless, is she in front of the judge, telling him all this whole story?
Yeah, it does read it in that way. And there's a lot of not idiomatic speech, but colloquial. It feels like it's got a real voice.
Yeah.
A fast, and I think that's part of it. It's she's supposed to be this sort of Northeast, super educated, Radford, Wellesley gal. And then there's a way to go back and read it to be the movie is accurate, and this is the way that her brain is telling the story. Like, I resisted him and I did all that, but from the outside. And so I wonder if like Budd was like revisiting this story and being like, well, it was very much from her perspective of like, I knew who he was all along and I was always sort of like half in, half out, getting what I could. But then he, as sort of an omniscient writer, is like, in the movie, I want to show it the reality, which is different than that. I wonder if there's that like kind of, because there's this dichotomy in the film and the story of like the real folks and these kind of educated coastal elites, as we'd call them now.
Sure.
Like if her telling the story is kind of reinforcing that like she really doesn't understand who she is in the story.
Potentially.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. And I do think it is
That's like a retcon.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she and Walter Matthau's character, who are arguably, I would say the point of him in the movie is almost to take that sharpness of that point of view in the story and sort of place it as like an exterior force upon Marcia. Even he is like, he went to a good school, but it was still like in Tennessee. Like, he wasn't full blown
Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt 44.
Yeah.
Let's start bringing back calling people their college and the year they graduated.
Yes.
What are you?
Are you not doing that? Have you guys not?
I stopped. I don't know why. I'm doing it now. North Texas.
So
87. What are you?
How dare you?
Denton's finest.
A year after I'm born.
Walter Matthau was great.
Oh my God!
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Needed more of him though.
Needed more of him.
I
but
wanted more of him.
It was great to see him. It was a little different character.
Yeah.
Than we're used to seeing, and
he's mostly playing it fairly straight.
And that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
The thing I learned also through this, and so I researched it a little bit, and I guess Budd Schulberg was friends with Will Rogers' son.
Okay.
Oh my God.
And so Rogers Jr., who gets name checked in the movie, right? And
so Will Rogers Jr. was like, my dad was full of shit. He hated all these people. They were just like whatever. And it was kind of inspired by that. And then also Arthur Godfrey, who I had never heard of. Now, there's things I haven't heard of, but also if there's some like cultural touchstone like that, I at least have like a flashcard of it somewhere.
Sure. Yeah.
Never heard of this guy. And had you heard of him?
I have not heard of him. I thought of Father Coughlin, who I've heard of,
right.
who I think is also name checked in the movie.
So Arthur Godfrey kind of had this trajectory of like radio, TV, had like a nightly TV show, was like everybody's, he was like this down-home dude. He created this like cast of characters on his show that everybody loved.
Oh, interesting.
One of the guys got an agent, and Arthur liked being everybody's agent kind of thing. He got his own agent, and Arthur fired him on air.
Oh my God.
And immediately, like, the whole country turned against him. It was like he went out on Fifth Avenue and shot someone, basically. But they actually like reacted. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like that kind of thing, because it just like the mask was off. And so but he gets name checked in the movie as like, oh, I'll get Arthur Godfrey to cover for you.
Right.
When he's like on a bender. But it was, so I had no idea about this guy. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I didn't know that story. The only thing I vaguely knew about him is in researching my book, I saw something where Stan Freberg had done a satirical piece on Arthur Godfrey, and Capitol Records pulled it. Because they're like, we don't want to upset Arthur Godfrey.
Right. He was the Lonesome Rhodes of whatever.
Yeah. So that's wild. No, I thought there was also potentially a little bit. So this is maybe a little spoilery for how it plays out in the end, but like that the sort of climax was also inspired by a kiddie host whose mic was live and said like, I fucking hate these kids.
Oh yes.
And that partly inspired like the sort of climactic scene well when
was he wrong?
Mike is live.
I remember that story, but I think that happened later.
Oh, okay. So I might be mixing it up.
I'm not sure. I might be wrong. But yes. The other thing I thought was interesting is that like, so Andy Griffith is big in the movie.
Yeah.
And he kind of became like this. He became this character in some ways, right?
Yeah, essentially.
small town lovable dad who's just like, let's go down to the fishing hole.
Well, I was even talking to him.
People believed that he was this character.
Yeah, like I was talking to Tyler about his, like, because he has a comedy record. I think it's like him explaining like going to a football game for the first time. He's like, and this feller's lined up over here, and this feller's lined up over here, and like it's like, yeah. He's really good at playing that character,
right?
But like we've seen that he knows better. Like that's
exactly.
the wild
That's
thing.
what's so weird. That is what's so weird about it.
It is kind of because this was his film debut,
right?
Yeah.
And it is kind of crazy in the like Eric Roberts Star 80 being a sociopath like ruined my career for a while. I mean, a lot of other reasons for him, but it's like kind of insane that America was able to buy back in on Andy Griffith as down home wisdom kind of guy, because you see him be an absolute monster in this movie, and it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was like within a month of each other, like Sweet Smell of Success also came out. So it almost seems like there was this moment of just like these kind of like stories about like the glory of showbiz is like teeming with these like horrible people that are phonies, and I don't know.
Absolutely shocking.
Black-hearted
Well, I
cynics.
think there was sort of like the awakening of the public. These were like very new media, and that like it's not real, right?
Yeah.
Like that it's not. These aren't really who these people are, and so maybe there was like the Arthur Godfrey. I bringing it back to me, making it about me, which I love to do. Like the quiz show scandal was a huge thing. Like we all thought, and that was but it's like, we all thought this was real, and there was like a real, I think, shaking of the American psyche about like, wait, this thing I'm watching, this parasocial relationship I have is completely fabricated. Yeah. And I feel like in a weird way we're with our new, whether it's, a podcast or a social media account, like people are having this again. Like, I don't know what happened. I'm not.
It's going to happen
one of
forever.
the Try Guys
did
what?
One of the Try Guys did what? Or the Bachelorette thing that happened. So I think there is like the same way that these characters keep showing up, we keep kind of having to be reminded, like...
Yeah.
That is actually a really good example, because it's one of those things where people had heard about what had happened, but then they saw the video, and it like immediately major corporations had to throw away millions of dollars because they're just like, we cannot be in bed with this person anymore. Right. And the public turned in a really serious way, which is really great. But it's the same thing. It's that you need to see it.
That
right?
turn on a dime thing. It's very Lonesome Rhodes.
Yeah,
it's true.
So
did we learn nothing from the War of the Worlds like broadcast? Like, you're not supposed to believe anything.
That's true.
I was oddly reading the short story. It gave like that. The way the story lays everything out, like moment to moment, that feels very much like the rise of an influencer. Like there's like nuances in the film that I think make it feel a little bit less like that, but like definitely because it's it's got to be more compressed. The short story definitely feels like it's this guy with a lot of gumption that just sort of like starts building his followers and like uses his platform to spread.
You mean his animal magnetism?
Animal God-given animal magnetism.
Patricia Neal is so good in the movie, just saying nothing but communicating. God, I want to fuck Andy Griffith. God, I just want to.
Justin, your internal thoughts are coming through.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because in the story, it's much more like she's a much more reluctant player in it. Like she's kind of gets carried along with it. And in this, it's like she wants it more. Like she's making it happen. Like you feel like she really wants. She's not into the political stuff, but she wants like the showbiz piece to really be a success and is working hard to do that. Whereas in the short story, it kind of feels like I got dragged to the next big thing, and now I've got to like make it all happen and take care of it for this monster that I've created. It's much more of like a Frankenstein story.
Yeah.
And it is interesting because obviously we kind of brought up the idea of the unreliable narrator aspect of the short story. Because even like, to get the very end is sort of this thing of like, I am also culpable. Like she admits that.
Yeah.
But it does make you, and really the moment that it like occurred to me in retrospect that, oh, maybe we don't trust her in the short story is that exact moment in the movie when Lonesome Rhodes' ex-wife comes to her and is like, my brother-in-law's cousin is on the floor of the studio, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, interesting. So, like, if that exchange is happening and in the movie we know they're together, it's just like, well, what does that person know that would be telling this ex-wife? And it's like, oh, right. Maybe something is happening and she's sort of saying it's not or omitting it for her own kind of – and maybe how much is she reluctant to help this guy once the rocket ship takes off?
Like she keeps protesting like we never got together. There was it was always just
trying and me fighting him off and da-da-da. But it's like – yeah, but what are people saying? And of course, it could just be rumors, and that's possible. But like, it does feel on some level like, oh, are you hiding something in terms of what your relationship was with this guy? I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, it's an interesting way to read the short story.
Right. Yeah. I feel like watching the movie made me think there was more to the short story than there was. Same,
100%. Yeah, exactly.
Which is one of those interesting things where is it Budd trying to make things clearer because maybe he wrote the character too sort of one way that he's like, oh, people aren't seeing that I'm trying to say the character is doing this, or did he just have another idea?
Right. Because so to get kind of into the plot and like right off the jump, the way things are different is in the short story, she's working at this radio station and this like. Again, like a charming vagabond with a cigarette guitar, like arrives and is like, I can tell stories and sing songs, and she has to be like won over. She like doesn't like folk music, which I think is such a funny.
And, like her uncle who runs the station is the one who actually hires him. Like, she doesn't even really want to do it.
Well, that's the thing. So in the story, she's also just working for a guy, but it's in the movie that he becomes her uncle.
Okay, right. Yes, yeah. And I love for like Americanism is like such a great little nugget with a U in the story. So she's like has to be like, I don't really know. I like against my better taste, I kind of was charmed by this guy, but I like held it in. My boss comes in. He, as much as I hate folk music, he loves it, and he wears cowboy boots like a dummy. And eventually he gets hired. He gets a show. In the movie, the first scene is her doing a series called A Face in the Crowd, where she is like a radio, I guess like a producer kind of is like she's going out and producing her own segment on the radio station.
She's the people in New York asking you questions.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. Somewhere between
classier.
Somewhere between that and her thinking that she's doing like How the Other Half Lives. Like somewhere between that is where she
there is a little kind of anthropology.
Right, exactly. Major. Like, oh, I think people everywhere are interesting. I went to Sarah Lawrence.
Exactly.
That character has existed forever, I guess. But basically literally goes to like the
Alpine Gaul. I was a vestal virgin. I don't know. I'm going to get canceled for this one.
And basically goes to like the local jail and is like, get me an interesting guy to talk to.
Yeah.
And they're like literally Andy Griffith Rhodes, who at one point she's like, what's your first name? He's like, Mac or Jack, I don't care, whatever you like, which I thought was great.
And instantly she's like, Lonesome.
He's like, sure. Lonesome. And they're literally like, he's a mean one. He's like sleeping and like, kind of takes like a fighter stance the moment he's woken up. And because no one else in the jail wants to talk to her. And then she kind of like coaxes it out of him and like it becomes a hit right away. He improvs a song about being a free man. And then from there, like in the same way, both of the rocket sort of takes off. But it's interesting the way that it's an interesting change to be like, this is a guy who's like a drunken disorderly as opposed to like
it definitely puts part of the blame on her for sure in the movie.
Yes. But it is also an interesting pivot from the story because if in the story he's only doing folk songs but like then going off on these tangents where he tells these yarns in the middle of folk songs, the fact that he's like riffing the songs almost makes him more of he's a big picture, big ideas guy. Like his brain's always whirring and eventually it whirs off the track, but like it feels like I don't know. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting the change is interesting in that in the short story he sort of arrives fully formed as like a personality.
Yeah, he calls himself Lonesome,
right?
And in the movie she names him Lonesome.
Yes, exactly. And then he's also a guy who like almost doesn't take the job. He's like about to leave town. He has to be coaxed into coming and doing radio shows. And then like there's the moment where in the story and in the movie, there's this sort of the same pivotal moment where he gets into the fight with the local sheriff, and it sort of like gives him a political bent to his rant, or like it gives him a cause.
Yeah,
and it also just shows like the power that he has.
Yeah, he kind of,
which she brings up, and he's like, "Oh yeah,
yeah." It's honestly a really good moment. It's like, I guess I can.
It's kind of fucked up. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like, there's also like this interesting Freudian read that you can do of like her as like the mother, and then he's constantly trying to bed her again, like the woman that created him. He's like trying to, that's all I have. I mean, that's but there is that like aspect, and her kind of like complacency and resistance and all that becomes more interesting if you're like in that. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, because he starts from like minute one and like essentially never stops.
You've never sat on a hotel bed with a man
and she's
before.
like, whatever.
That's and that's the interesting thing is he's constantly sleeping with other women and trying to pass it off, and like she sees it, acknowledges it, is like, you're not fooling me, but like I'm moving on. And that's she's so good at just sort of like doing it with the least amount of effort, but communicating like, because like at one point he's like sending out the woman who brought
breakfast or whatever, the hotel, the chambermaid or something.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, no, I know she stayed the night or whatever.
Right.
Like,
well, there's this interesting thing about the character where she's incredibly judgmental, and yet she kind of pretends to be not. Like, she pretends to be like very pragmatic and like, I'm just doing whatever, and like, and even just because there's really two characters. There's the story character and the movie character, right? So like in the movie, it's like, oh, I'm going down, I'm talking to these real folks, and I love this, and blah 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 blah. I'm not judgmental at all, and all that stuff. But she's so obviously like so judgmental. Yeah. So I think what you're talking about is exactly right, where it's like part of her wants to be like, I'm a modern woman and he can do whatever the hell he wants, I don't care. And then there's the other part of her that's like, I kind of want like, the domestic whatever.
If this is a partnership, I want like that kind of partnership, not that I'm your gal
and,
Friday.
She can change him. So
right, she kind of builds him.
He's only sleeping with those women to keep the bed warm.
Right.
So
all.
So what do we? I mean, you were like, is he the devil? I think Alan, you said it was like, is he the devil?
And I wonder in the short story, he just sort of appears fully formed, and it's like that's kind of scary.
But I do wonder, in the way that the white whale in Moby Dick is sort of the symbol.
Yeah.
Like it's about America, it's about capitalism, it's about like, manifest destiny, it's about all these things. I wonder if there's like a little bit of that in him where it's like, because his appetites keep growing, right?
Yeah.
Well,
he's the shark from Jaws. Like, he's always hungry.
That's what gives me the influencer vibe. I have the vision of the star I will be, and like, this is me going on that journey to become the star I know I should be.
He starts semi-genuinely, like he's kind of like taking the piss or whatever, not really giving a shit. But when he starts sniffing his own his like farts and shit, he's like, "Oh, I'm a genius."
Yeah, and in the
it's all about buying the hype, your own hype.
I feel like in the movie,
well, because he believes the family he makes up and shit like that.
The riddle, the folks in riddle.
Yeah.
I also think they take a lot of the culpability off of him in the movie, where it's like, well, these like advertising folks, they put him in the room and he does great, but then they make him, build up his ego, and then the head of the fake aspirin company, the snake oil company, is like, I want to introduce you to a senator. I want to like they are the ones that are kind of telling him that he has this power capacity, and then he just kind of is like, oh, I have this power and capacity, like like it's all reflected. Whereas I feel like in the short story it was much more like him looking beyond his horizon for the next.
And it's clear those guys in the room have seen and interacted with many people like him before, and they're just like, oh, here's another one.
Yeah.
Here's another meal ticket.
Kind of the end of Marty Supreme, where Mr. Wonderful is like, I'm a vampire. I've seen 1,000 of you. Like, I am the man with money, and so I have power.
Yeah.
And then, like, you are some guy with a talent that maybe I care about or maybe I don't.
Yeah.
And or I'll
the
care
end
about
of
you.
The end of Network as well.
Exactly. It is kind of that same idea of, like, the people with money who have amassed power, you're only useful to me as long as you're useful to me, and then I'll let you go, basically. Which seems to be the...
It's in there, but it's not about that per se.
Well, and I do wonder if that perspective shifted, because I was reading that, like, Schulberg and Kazan spent, like, 2 years embedding in, like, advertising agencies and, like, the television networks. And I wonder if, like, with that added perspective, they were like, well, really, he's a bad guy, but there are worse guys operating in the shadows. As it were. It seemed to be the vibe.
Yeah, maybe. And it's interesting to me, too, because I feel like this is also an era where just, like, the advertising world is a milieu that a lot of movies are set in. Like, I don't know if the show was the show How to Get Ahead in Advertising out at that time? Or?
I mean,
Isn't that in the 80s?
How to Get Ahead in Advertising.
Am I thinking of something else?
So you're thinking how to succeed in business without really trying?
Oh, okay.
Yes, I was using the title of the movie from the 80s with Richard E. Grant, but I was thinking how to succeed in business. Okay, sorry.
I think that was a little bit late. I think that was more like a 60s.
More of a 60s. Wrong. But you have like Will's success spoil Rock Hudson, Rock Hunter, excuse me.
Rock Hunter.
Man, I'm just screwing every title.
Well, isn't like Dick Van Dyke Show, wasn't Alan, was he a TV
comedy writer?
Comedy writer, yeah.
For the
cut this out.
Yeah, no.
Leave it in.
You heard what Justin just said. No one's going to even know what you did.
Well, yeah, and I think it's funny too that like the TV guys are sort of in the corner of the room when Lonesome Rhodes comes in, and they're sort of the black sheep, which was something that kind of got played through in Mad Men too.
Definitely.
Of like, TV's this new, like, it's a gimmick. Sort of like probably like what influencer marketing felt like.
Yeah.
Whatever.
10 years ago, maybe.
Yeah.
And then they end up kind of running the show, and the account guy ends up like in the hospital. I mean, that part was a little caricature-ish, I will say. I mean, it's hard to say that because the whole movie is so big, but maybe it was just the actor didn't do a good job, but it definitely felt like
he's also sweating all the
time.
time.
Profusely.
But not in a believable way.
No.
When Andy Griffith sweats, you believe it. He believes
That's
not
because
selling
he
the
sweats
sweat.
real.
He's been screaming for 30 straight minutes, and you're like,
he
would get
screams
sweaty.
this entire fucking movie,
It's
honestly.
crazy.
I love. I don't know if it was that guy or like one of the people working for him was like, but we had nailed down the words like zestful.
Yes.
Yes. It's really good.
So in the book, he dies.
He does die.
Yeah.
He falls down the stairs, or
sort of
maybe
is pushed.
Yeah.
It's an aggressive situation.
Did Dr. Frankenstein feel the need to kill Dr. Frankenstein's monster, or what happened there?
Yeah, exactly. That's the. I mean, and again, it's sort of to your point. Is this like is this an affidavit? Right? Is this like a
it
sworn
really
testimony?
feels like it's like.
And she's like, we got in a fight. I was leaving. He chased after me and fell down the stairs.
And it begins with like, by the way, I was never in a fucking folk. And it's like, okay. Let me just start that.
And then Joey DePrima came over and cleaned up the whole thing.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm culpable. It does feel like a congressional hearing or something. He dies. He falls down a marble staircase, sort of hoisted by his own petard, perhaps.
I did like that character, especially in the movie. I think it's Tommy DePalma, but he feels like the Sammy Glick of the movie.
Very much, yeah.
Who's just like, guess who's your New York agent, baby? Like that. Like
right. It's like, I guess who's the president and owns 51% of you.
Sorry about it.
Yeah, I was happy that he was Italian because I know that like there was a lot of anti-Semitism that came after what makes Sammy run. Like people felt like it was an anti-Semitic portrayal of like the Jews the scurrilous Jews running Hollywood. So it was nice to have have the
Right. Spread
I
the
think they
wealth.
appreciate
Spread
it.
the wealth.
Italians some heat.
because they're not getting enough heat. They are just seen as keep their nose clean. But yeah, again, it's like every different. It did feel like there was a little bit of like every different stereotype. There's like the kind of unscrupulous Italian mover. There's like the kind of what was the guy's name? Like the Commodore or the
the general.
The general.
Yes, the general.
The general who I didn't get the sense was actually a general.
No,
it had a real like Colonel Sanders kind of vibe, and it seemed like he was like.
But he had like a lot of nautical themed rooms, which I would think make him like more of an admiral.
Right. That was. But he
Well,
like
he wants to be modest.
he owned the company or was on the board of the company.
Right,
of
Vitajex.
The Vitajex.
Yeah.
What a name.
Which kind of I would assume like is it General Post? What's the company that owns all the cereal?
Yeah.
Oh, is that what that?
Maybe that's a reference, right?
General
Oh,
Mills.
General Mills.
General Mills.
Post.
Yeah. But
The montage after Lonesome Rhodes hooks up with Vitajex, and it's just
Oh my God! Yeah.
of the ads and like the ratings
jingles,
raising, and it's like, oh, this is filmmaking right here. This is
pure cinema.
And like
Delightful.
him singing the thing, and then the girls singing the Vitajex theme, and and it was also interesting to see like him buy into the ratings thing. And he's like, "What's the number?" Which was kind of like I don't know. There was something about that where it felt like, oh, this is what you're about through and through.
This sort of tangible thing he could hang on to is to denote his popularity.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great choice
Got a lot of
between
followers, man.
He's got a lot of followers online. It's a great sort of update from the short story to the movie because so obviously, right, we sort of talk about how there's a moment where in the book or in the short story where Marcia he proposes and she seems to be considering it on some level, but then he goes to judge a baton twirling contest.
Right, yeah.
And this happens in the movie as well. And we meet a young Lee Remick who does look fantastic.
Yeah.
And spent like 3 extra weeks learning how to baton twirl, which I think is awesome. But in the movie, she like really, I think, she's like, we're fiance. I'm his fiance. Like
they're
on
fiance.
On fiance is indeed. On fiance, indeed. And he basically is like, oh, but my ex-wife has shown up. And so I'm going to go down to Mexico and get the divorce that I said I was always going to get, and yada yada, which he does do.
But on the way back, he stops to judge a baton twirling
contest. Ends up in Mexico.
Again, the Freudian aspect is a little obvious.
It's sort of like a neon sign blinking at you. But so the moment when he talks to Marcia about how the divorce did not go through because the judge was indicted for fraud, and so she says the divorce is a fraud. Literally in the middle of him explaining that to her and like smoothing things over, someone comes in with the new ratings. He's distracted from like explaining, and he's like, "We're up to 49 million or whatever." And then there's like, "Oh, so anyways, the divorce was a fraud, but I'm going to go down to Mexico and get this all taken care of." Which is like, it just again, it's consuming his life in a way that's really interesting, and it's like a nice change from the book. But then yes, he goes down to Mexico and actually marries the baton twirler, which is awesome.
The scene with the ex-wife though before that is probably the moment that is the most faithful to the story. Like I feel like the dialogue is pretty much the dialogue from the shorts where it's literally like, you're Larry's new Tootsie.
Yes, literally, yes.
Well, I mean, she's like the first real character to be like, this guy is completely full of shit.
Yeah.
And I just want to get paid. I don't care.
Yeah.
That man. There's
I was on the last rotation. You're on this rotation.
There's a not to skip too far ahead, but during his very public falling out, they like cut to a bunch of people who are mad at him, and I love when they cut
when
to
they're calling in, dude.
Well, yeah, people are calling in, being like, he thinks we're a jerk. I'm gonna tell him he's a jerk. But they cut to his ex-wife, who's now making $3,000 a month, surrounded by 2 men in bellboy outfits, being like, I knew he was gonna blow it. It's so funny.
Right. Well, that's
so
the thing.
good.
Even the people that hate him are sort of invested in his success.
In his success,
other
which
than
is
the
why he knows he
advertising
can get away with it,
executive.
kind of, right?
Yeah, other than the advertising executive who had like a heart attack or something.
Yeah.
He's the only one who's kind of out.
Yeah, he's watching from his deathbed.
Beyond that,
Right. And in the story, right, Marcia has gone to Havana or something like that.
Yeah.
And gets called back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
she meets
Or is it Bahamas?
Well, yeah, 'cause that's
no,
a-
it's definitely Cuba. It is 100% Cuba.
like Lonesome in the story is like making demands of Churchill and like Parliament is
He's
like
declaring
responding
war,
to-
dude.
Oh, that's that was cool.
That was the Parliament floor.
It's it's his level of like influence is even it's global as opposed to just America.
And they get a little of that in the movie, but it's not as you don't get the Churchill responding, but he says something to the effect of like the limeys, which I was like, wow. Don't throw that one around as much anymore. Those limeys don't like the way we're running our store, but their branches are closing all over the world.
Right.
It's like, wow, good stuff.
You get them.
But yeah, she's in Havana and she like meets a New York Times report. It's really funny that also around that moment they're like, oh, these papers love him, and they're like still bastions of like conservative thought in America, and like the New York Times hates him. It's like, oh, interesting. I guess that's always been the dividing lines of like these places are coded this way, this one is coded this way.
Yeah.
And I guess the question is, so like basically Lonesome is an iconoclast. Like he fashions the radio show in his own image. When he's first put on television, he's not going where like he's being told to go.
Right.
He's literally making the camera follow him where it shouldn't go.
He's like, look at this monitor. And like, you're not supposed to show the
He's
monitor.
like,
But like, where's the moment where he goes from being the iconoclast to like playing the iconoclast?
It just literally just happens. I'm not even sure
Yeah.
when that moment takes
Well,
place.
I don't know if he ever is. I think he's always playing the
Interesting.
iconoclast.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes, I do think that it's all calculated, right? Like even the moment of like, I'm just a goofy guy who's like showing you this stuff you're not supposed to see is like what a way to seduce people and bring them in, right? It's like I'm different than the other people who are on TV.
The only reason I give pause for the movie version is that he just has to be talked into it so much.
Yeah.
But then once he realizes that it could be beneficial, then he locks in.
Well, that's the biggest change, right?
Yeah.
Is that
He's
essentially
reluctant.
Yeah, he's reluctant, and then specifically, he's going to even leave the TV show until Marcia consummates their relationship, and that's basically and locks him in. Yeah.
I also found watching that much Andy Griffith acting that much was tiring. He's given it his all, and I'm just like, oh,
seriously,
man.
I don't know how he had a voice at all.
Truly.
It's so big.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
The full body laugh.
Full body. Yeah.
I also think like, so knowing the politics of these guys and their, I think there's a real like it's a rebuke of populism, obviously. And so I think that they're like all of these, whether Lonesome kind of is a right-wing populist type figure, conservative, like, get back to our whatever. He talks at one point about marriage and stuff like that. And I wonder how much of that was sort of because like they kind of got I wonder if they're kind of playing that we're criticizing I'm doing air quotes for those of you who are not in the room with us, the right, because they were kind of they were traitors to the left. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is the thing about Lonesome is that he seemed, even when he's schooled a little bit by like the general in the ways of this, but
You mean his adoptive father?
Yeah, that's
oh God, that scene where he's like, I'm basically your father.
Do you get it?
Is that he knows the talking points sort of innately. Like I think he's like so that's the thing that seems oddly like, if not prescient, like timeless. He's like he knows the like traditional family, like going to church on Sunday, even though like as they like say explicitly in the short story, he never went to church on Sunday. He was in Hangover Town.
so good.
Every Sunday.
Alan, you're familiar with Hangover Town,
How
right?
dare you?
Alan, you're very quiet today.
Well, it's an odd angle. I'm just trying to lean in.
You're trying to get
Lean in,
trying to lean
take up space.
Yeah.
No. In the shadows.
Hey, we're holding space
literally,
for you, man. Come on.
Yeah. What else to say?
Well, so that's interesting. So is your do you feel like they're basically trying to critique the idea of the populist right because they're like, well, the right has real ideas, but it's diluted by people like this? Or
I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's
I'm not
interesting.
sure.
I would love to dig deeper, but I don't know anymore.
Yeah.
Where it goes eventually, where he's kind of brought in to coach this, like very like back to traditional values candidate,
Right.
like to make him more palatable. But like I think he even says explicitly like we gotta get him to behave differently because no one likes what he has to say anyway.
Right. He's basically a policy wonk.
Yes, very much.
And they're trying to make him. It's like the media consultant.
Yeah.
It's kind of an Ella McKay figure, if anyone's seen that movie. She's a real policy wonk. There's the point where
I think you seeing Ella McKay still brings the viewership numbers into the negatives.
of the film Ella McKay. That's probably true. It's interesting because there's even a moment with was it Worthington Fuller?
Curly?
Curly?
Yeah. Oh, Curly
right.
Fuller.
Where he literally tussles his hair like a one Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
But
That's where Jimmy got it.
That's where Jimmy got it. That head of skin you got? Mm-hmm. But it's like, right, you need a nickname and you need a slogan. And I was like waiting for them to have like edited back in Make America Great Again. Or It's like, it's basically, right, it's all that kind of like down home values, or you need stuff that people like. And
it's always the return back.
This is basically like the third act of the movie that like the short story doesn't have, is him getting mixed up into politics this closely, and then that kind of being his downfall in that way.
And then also, I mean, just the Walter Matthau aspect of it, which is both sort of like the voice of conscience for Marcia, but also like he's kind of like, I have a thing for you, Marcia. I can't believe that you're attracted to this hick, kind of thing. But it's interesting because he's a writer who kind of like has a lot of smart things to say under his breath.
Right.
And like never stands up to Andy Griffith's character until he's down at the very end.
Yeah.
Right.
And then has a great speech that is really kind of like, that's kind of what happens to canceled people. What you've just described is what happens to canceled people.
Well, I feel like it's partially because he doesn't want to like disappoint her, and also it's his meal ticket. So he's like, I don't have to respect my boss, but like this guy sucks.
Okay, so maybe this is obvious. I'm really sorry. I'm just getting here. King Kong.
Oh, yeah.
Is this King Kong?
Is King Kong checked in the short story, right?
No. Maybe.
It's mentioned. It's mentioned
something. He's King Kong.
Yeah,
but it's used earlier.
But it's like she comes from civilization, goes out into the unknown, brings back this thing, displays the monster, and then it carries her up the empire. She's Fay Wray, right?
Yes, and then he falls off
literally to the top of the building. Wow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're exactly right.
I just got there.
Right.
God damn. And I was never going to. None of us were going to get there. So thank you for doing it.
So yeah, I mean, but I wonder. I say it's King Kong, but I wonder if that there's an archetypal story there about
I think it's more
taking someone from Cisalpine Gaul
and rising him up to the Senate.
He does treat her as like the good luck charm, even if he's like, well, we did it once, but I still want other women. But I need her. Like she needs to be with.
She's the magic feather.
Yeah,
and he is correct.
Yeah.
And she is the one that fells him eventually in both versions of the story.
Right.
Although in the movie, not by potentially pushing him down some stairs. So.
Something about that scene didn't land for me.
In the movie?
Yeah. Of her like turning on the mic.
Oh, interesting.
Because it almost felt like it was like her trying to redeem her, or her having this this big moment. And it almost feels like it's better if he undoes himself. Do you know what I mean?
Or
like
if it was like an accident or something.
Or whatever. Like, it's like, again, thinking of the Arthur Godfrey source material. Like, Arthur Godfrey decided, I'm going to fire this guy on camera.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, the hubris is what brings him down.
Yeah.
And while, he had all this hubris, essentially it was her kind of crisis of conscience that brings him down. Otherwise, the train would have kept going.
Yeah.
And I think it defangs it a little bit.
I kind of agree, but it also sort of feels like he's too fucking good at this. he will never slip up.
Right.
Someone has to do it.
Right.
Well,
But they don't really go for that.
It's kind of the difference between a King Kong and a Frankenstein story, right? Where it's like in the short story, he falls off the building because
Right.
he's too big, and then in the movie, it's his creator has to kill him, basically.
Right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah. Well,
either way, he's a monster.
Frankenstein's and Kong.
Well, also, so this scene is also partly, I think, part of the reason why I couldn't watch this movie for 10 years. So what happens in the scene in question is Andy Griffith's character, Lonesome Rhodes, has basically been bad-mouthing his audience whenever the mics are off. And the guy who's handling sound is like, if this mic was live and those people could hear him, they wouldn't like him anymore or whatever. And she's like,
oh.
light bulb. She turns on the mic and basically blocks the mixing desk so no one can turn it back off. And while he's standing with the cat, he's like, these fucking yokels will do whatever the fuck that kind of thing.
A very funny scene.
And then came the Access Hollywood tape.
Right.
And the reaction to that in the real world made me be like, yeah, no, in the real world, it still wouldn't have been enough, knowing that he's like, I hate these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyhow.
Well, maybe more of
a different time.
Yeah, the changing of time.
It would have been enough
Yes and
previously.
no. I mean, because we just talked about the Bachelorette. I think they're...
It does. Yeah, I guess that one guy is kind of impervious to this sort of thing.
The Teflon.
Yeah.
Teflon Don.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing, is just this kind of character makes me think of him so much, and then just the way it played out differently just had that impact on me. I'm not...
I think... Yeah. Well, I think what... Are we going there with this? We want to go there?
Yeah, we can go there.
We can go wherever
Feel
we
free.
want.
Tyler doesn't want to go there. I think
Tyler
what's
always
my president.
wants to
No,
go.
sorry. I'm just kidding.
I think what's different, what's different, because I was like, is this can we apply this to Donald Trump? And there's partially yes, but Donald Trump kind of positions himself, yes, as a people's man, but he's also positions himself as incredibly savvy and sophisticated, and I know how to make great deals. The Lonesome Rhodes of the world, the real Will Rogers, are never kind of espouse that kind of sophistication, and so when they have this other side, I think that's part. If you're the Bachelorette and you're supposed to be the prize wife, mother, whatever, and you're abusive, then it undoes that. But I think Donald Trump, it's like he who shall not be named. I think what Donald Trump has done is actually I'm incredibly sophisticated.
Yeah.
And so it allows him to do all this stuff because it's the cognitive thing is he's playing some other game. He's 10 steps ahead of me.
Yeah.
Whereas Lonesome Rhodes, you thought he was sitting at your table.
Gotcha.
Well, that's
Right?
He's basically he would have been the power vacuum after Lonesome.
Right. Well,
If
he's
we're-
the 80s version.
I mean,
which he
Ronald Reagan
literally
is literally-
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
he becomes prominent in the 80s as a public figure
Yeah.
of we're the go-go 80s. And he's the cartoonish version of a businessman,
Right.
Yeah.
as opposed to being the cartoonish version of down home wisdom,
Yeah.
and then that has served him well.
Yeah.
Well, you brought up being there earlier. How do you feel this sort of is in conversation
I
with
like to
being
watch.
I like to watch. I like to watch being there.
there? Yeah.
Or any Hal Ashby film, really.
I love. Yeah. How do I think that's in conversation? Well,
I mean, the characters, at least.
yeah. Well, I think there is that idea of if you say not too much, everyone can project what they want onto you.
Yeah.
What's different is Lonesome Rhodes says stuff.
Yeah.
He has a real point of view. Chance the gardener doesn't have a point of view.
Right.
So in a way, I feel Lonesome Rhodes, is the Will Rogers. He's sort of the aw shucks, and Chance the Gardener is Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Where it's I'm just a mirror for what you want me to be. I don't feel that with Lonesome Rhodes.
No. No, that's a good point. Yeah. But you're No, you nailed it because he is saying all these things, but yeah, he's keeping the real thoughts inside, and it's when the real thoughts are exposed that
And he's pronouncing a real clear point of view, which Chance the Gardener never does.
Right. He's calculated a point of view as well, right?
Yes.
Which Chance does not have, right? He's just like
He likes to watch.
He likes to watch.
God, that's such a good. I gotta rewatch Being There.
Is it Chance or Chauncey? I thought it was Chauncey.
Or is it Chauncey?
Well, his name is Chance.
I remember something correcting
His
all the
name
time.
is Chance the Gardener, and they turn him into Chauncey Gardner.
That's right. I need to rewatch that movie. Yeah.
Which it is interesting in on that, like to bring this to reality as well, like because Donald Trump talks all the time, endlessly,
and he likes to watch,
and yet we still. People will put onto him what he means after like a 4-hour diatribe about how Lady Gaga was very nasty to him. And they're like, well, that's because he's just such a normal. They can still – we've come to the point where we can twist words.
So there is an interesting thing here, though, with Being There, which this is going to throw a curveball. I don't know if you know this, but in the credits, they show – Peter Sellers and all the characters breaking when he's like delivering these lines, and Peter Sellers was furious.
Oh, that the outtake was there?
Because he said it ruins the film.
Oh,
because he's like, you should never see anything but that character as that character.
They left the mic on, bro.
They left the mic on. Hal Ashby gave the old marshmallow.
Damn, ruthless. Ruthless.
really good.
So I have a question for the room. Once again, overstepping my role.
You are more than welcome to. More than welcome.
Is Lonesome Rhodes the main character, or is Marcia the main character?
I think it's Marshmallow for sure. I think.
We do begin and end with her, right? It's like kind of actually her arc that we're completing. Yeah.
Yeah, because he stopped and or killed, but he would just continue going. He's not learned anything different.
Yeah.
Right. It's her odyssey.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the boat.
Yes.
Well, even
with a lot of holes in
even
it.
Mathau's monologue at the end of the movie is basically saying, like, this is the end of a version of Lonesome Rhodes. Now comes the low rent version that you're going to be from here on out, that will have less followers, but you'll still
have a career.
Well, this is preceding the hard pivot to the alt-right. So where you can actually climb.
That door's always there for us, guys.
Oh, I know.
But we have to do video podcasts.
Yes,
that'll never happen.
And everyone here needs haircuts.
Yes.
Including Alan, who's already gotten a haircut.
I'll have to do one again.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know this, but Hunter S. Thompson ran for sheriff. Have we talked about this?
No. Aspen, right?
Of Pitkin County in Colorado, where Aspen is.
What?
And
really?
He ran against this like reactionary right wing sheriff who had a buzz cut, who had like a kind of like a 2x4 kind of military cut. And Hunter S. Thompson shaved his head and said, and his slogan was "Don't vote for the long hair."
It's so goddamn funny. That guy was so really funny. It's so good.
Really funny.
But I mean, to back to Lonesome.
Yeah.
I do, it's interesting it makes me like think about other folks who play into this. Like, I think about Bruce Springsteen. Like, to what degree is Bruce a Lonesome Rhodes? Like, I don't think Bruce is, as a proud son of New Jersey, I don't think he's disingenuous.
Be very careful. Be very careful.
I love Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
I named my company after a Bruce Springsteen lyric, but there is a little bit of that, like all of a sudden Bruce has like a lot of twang. I'm like, we don't have. There's no twang in Freehold.
Yeah.
And he's the first person to say, like, I wrote songs about driving. I didn't have a driver's license. I wrote a song about factory workers. I was never in a factory.
Yeah.
And like, I wonder, like, I don't know where I'm trying to go with this, but I think about other, like, why are we okay with Bruce and not okay
he's genuine enough
with Lonesome? Or are we okay with Bruce, or am I okay with Bruce and other people are not, and am I a Lonesome Rhodes acolyte in some degree?
Well, this is an odd thing too. So, as someone who's, I would say, a casual fan of Bruce, like for whatever reason, I feel like the earlier stuff, the 70s, the 80s, that pose, if you want to call it, feels better to me than like in 2008.
The Ghost of Tom Joad stuff,
or even like Devils and Dust, where it's like he does an interview and then suddenly I'm singing like this. That feels like the mask dropping kind of thing, and I'm sort of like, oh, I feel a disconnect here. I wonder. Because he's not outside the realm of sort of like a political point of view. I mean, obviously, he just put out a political single, but I guess there's something.
Born in the USA, Daddy-O. Come on.
Yeah. The most misunderstood song.
Yeah,
it sure
ever
is.
written, maybe. But I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like it's just all degrees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
whoever lines up closer with what you believe and says the things that you already believe, like the more likely you'll be like, yeah, this is my guy, until they do something where you're like, what the fuck?
Well, and he is an interesting analog because there are a lot of people in New Jersey who don't agree with Bruce Springsteen's point of view, but still love Bruce Springsteen. Right?
Yeah,
like
true.
That's just kind of part. I mean, is it?
I mean, there are racists that love Charlie Pride, so I get it.
Exactly. I mean, yeah. It isn't right because Springsteen on Broadway, he talks explicitly about this, right? About like, I never had a driver's license, but I wrote a song where I stole a car.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to like. Is it more of a broader commentary that like everybody in showbiz is like the second you have a camera,
role of the artist is channeling something that's in the zeitgeist, or
and how much we as an audience crave authenticity, but the moment you put a camera or a microphone in someone, they're immediately no longer their authentic self, and there's no way to actually capture that unless it is with someone being like unknowingly filmed.
Right, and
which is literally true.
Yeah, I'm also reminded there was the Fade to Black documentary, which I love, which was about Jay-Z's last concert 25 years ago and making the Black album. There's like a conversation where he's in the studio and one of the like a young rapper or whatever is talking about how it's like he's like, I don't want to write about like drugs and like shooting people and bitches and stuff, but that's what people want to buy. And like, you know, in a different way, is that kind of like rapper persona just another like.
Yeah, same with like, you know, got to get in my Chevy and drive to the dance or whatever the fuck the country is doing now.
Yeah.
It's all a role.
Oh my God, I ruined our podcast.
So embarrassing.
Sorry, Lonesome Rhodes is calling.
We've got to cut this.
And it's a live podcast too with no editing. Oh
no! Oh no! They've heard me.
Oh shit!
The mask is off. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I say it, and I want to say I know it's not like an insight that I'm not trying to say it's a massive insight, but there is something interesting that. How much when art and commerce, let's say, coincide, you know, like we want these people to be artists who are expressing some truth about themselves, but when commerce is involved, maybe that's the message. That's the bigger message of.
You're saying all artists have to suffer? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying that. I'm saying, you know, all commerce. What's the biblical name for like the evil god of money? Like all commerce is what's the word I'm looking for? Someone help me.
I don't know, man.
None of us have been on Jeopardy, man.
Okay. Despoiling. Like you can't once money gets involved, it gets real. I'm not saying that artists need to suffer. I'm just saying that.
No, you're compromising.
Is it an anti-capitalist?
Yeah. I mean, immediately you're compromising, and you could argue corrupting whatever.
Corrupting. That was the word.
There we go. So you know what? I had that like a minute ago. I should have thrown it out. I'm sorry. I thought you were going way above
way
corrupting.
deep. No.
Yeah,
So
sorry.
I say enfiance once, and all of a sudden, I think my afternoon
Couldn't possibly be corrupting.
Yeah.
No way. That he's. I gotta ask. So, but you've worked in writers' rooms.
I have.
Do you feel like this film accurately depicts writers' rooms where they're throwing darts at Lonesome Rhodes' face, and they say like, "Don't annoy," or what is it? They say, "Don't feed or annoy the writers."
Right.
And they're all mad.
So I have worked
And chanting.
in a very limited capacity in a very special writer's room. I've worked at Jeopardy on Pop Culture Jeopardy and Original Recipe. And as you can imagine, the hosts of those shows are beloved. I mean, like, it's like Alex Trebek. Everyone loved him. Everyone who wrote there loved him. Everyone loves him. Ken, everybody loves Ken. Ken is a great guy. There's nothing to not like about Ken. Colin Jost, when we were writing initially, we actually didn't know if he was going to be our host, but he, it wasn't. So that part is, I have not had that experience of sort of like, oh, we got to write for this jabroni. Yeah. And I also think like Jeopardy writers are a pretty special crew. It's not like, these aren't like, it's not like you're writing for like a sitcom or something like that where you're like, oh, I got to make another, like joke about someone getting, kicked in the crotch or whatever. So, I have not personally had that experience, but I am certain that it's out there.
Yes.
I will apologize as I realize I set you up to say that you hate Ken Jennings, and you handled it beautifully.
Yeah, you trying to get an exclusive over here?
Yeah.
We need them clicks. To steal a phrase from the Lonely Island podcast. But we need them clicks. So what are we missing from the story? We've got sort of
Beanie.
the triangle.
Oh, yes. Beanie. Good guy.
Yeah, he says, "See you around," and he does.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought for sure he was going to come back because I saw the movie first. And I was like, oh, when he's dismissing this guy's going to come back with dirt and he's going to ruin his life. And no, he just comes back and he's like, "Hey, I'll work for you. I don't give a shit."
To see.
Yeah. So they're in the jail.
Go
together.
buy some clothes. He, on the air, tells him to buy some clothes.
Start shoving 20s in his hand. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're in the jail in the beginning. They're about to hitchhike together, but then Patricia Neal takes Lonesome off on his destiny, and they separate. But then there's a fake "This Is Your Life" segment, and he comes right on back, and unloads cash upon him right there.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I also thought was interesting was the sort of denouement of Lonesome hosting this big dinner for the movers and shakers.
Yeah.
And the set of it being very dramatic.
Yeah.
Extremely dramatic.
Having a very like kind of triumph of the will.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
kind of
very Nazi.
Right?
Yes.
And it's like and the scale of it is big, and it has this very stark lighting, and it's all and then nobody shows.
Yeah. It's the "so you've been publicly shamed" moment, but like, like I turn off my phone and at the end of this plane ride I'm persona non grata, but like on a massive scale.
Yeah.
Well, there's also like great sequence when he's like, "We're taking this elevator all the way to the bottom" as his ratings go down.
Yes.
I thought that was
Good.
an incredible
People
scene.
are yelling.
Yeah. Yes, that was a little heavy-handed, I thought.
I
perhaps,
was digging it. I was digging it.
The dinner's really interesting. The other thing, I guess, that the story doesn't have that's just like great for the ending of the movie is they invent like the what do they call it? Like the audience matron or something?
Oh,
yeah.
yes, that was cool.
That is actually very cool.
The inventing like canned laughter and claps and everything, and he's just talking to no one, losing his mind, and Beanie's running it,
Beanie's
right?
like, Beanie! Yeah.
He loves it.
He likes a big reaction.
Yeah.
It's like, this is so incredibly sad.
I have one of those for when I listen back to the podcast.
Sure.
I play it.
I will say the other thing that like that is in the movie is African American people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which only really appear at the end of the movie.
Well, I was like, when the movie first starts, I was like, man, this movie is fucking beautiful. I was like, why don't they make black and white? And right as I'm thinking, why don't they make, he's getting his shoes shined and like tussles his hair. And I was like, fuck, I had to pause the movie. And I had a smoke break, and then I came back to it.
Well, there's that interesting like play of like that moment. And then at the end, he's sort of like his part of his shaming is that like the African American like valet waiter guys are all like laughing about him.
Well, because he's like, well, they're at least beneath me,
right?
So he's just like,
exactly.
they'll deal with this.
Which is an interesting bit because isn't like the first big thing he does on the Memphis TV show is he helps the black woman
That's right.
get her house back.
Yeah.
Right.
And literally they cut to like the control room and someone's like, a black woman in Memphis? Like who is this guy?
This is
Right.
So it's like also what a fall for him.
I think Mathau says it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like a really interesting like
but that they like kind of weave that in like the race story into this kind of Americana thing in an interesting way that is not present at all.
No, it disappears from the movie like for the most part because
until
they need it at the end. I guess for
there
that
is
extra
because in the story there is he basically builds a whole foundation,
right?
Which is basically like another sort of scam where basically like once there's enough money to pay for this cause, the rest goes straight to me. Thank you very much. But yeah, it is interesting because it's sort of like it's almost like for the people that they're like, if there's people watching this movie, it's like, but there was that moment where he was nice to that black
lady.
Woman and her family. That just snatch that away at the end too. It's sort of like he
corrupt that as well.
Well, because like no part of him has been real.
Yeah,
right. Yes,
right,
exactly. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like there's the moment in the short story where she's discussing the foundation and is like basically says something to the effect of he's neither all good or all bad, or like he's
done some good despite what he does, like on accident.
He's mischievously evil for good or something, or he's good for bad.
It reminds me of the I don't know if you remember there was that like essay that got turned into a book on bullshit, which was differentiating like lying and bullshit, which I think going back to our other conversation about certain people like is important. Liars know that they're telling you an untruth. Bullshitters have no regard for whether it's true or untrue.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what I want to get done, and so I'm going to say this. Whether it's true or untrue, I don't really care. It might be true, might be untrue. And I think like the Lonesome Rhodes Foundation is sort of that. It's like, this is useful for me if it does good or not good. Like, I don't really give a shit.
Right, exactly.
That's like his whole vibe.
There's no humanitarian. It's like, obviously this will be good for. It's the like Walmart greeter at 80 like needed everyone who came in the store to give her $1. How heartwarming.
Damn, are you writing for Dhar Mann?
What is it? Yes.
That was such a Dhar Mann title, dude.
Dhar Mann. It is. Yeah, he would do that. Or do you know about Dhar Mann? We don't need to get into it.
You don't need to get into it.
He's a YouTuber.
Although he
kind of is a Lonesome Rhodes.
Okay,
maybe we need to get into Dhar Mann real quick.
His mask kind of dropped when he started getting sued.
It is so Dhar Mann, just really quickly. He's a YouTuber who works out of Burbank.
Yeah.
And he basically puts up YouTube videos that are like moral tales. We only know about him because of our coworker Jonah.
Yes.
And every YouTube video is like kid at school is cyberbullied. Turns out he has great idea for app, becomes a billionaire.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
every single video.
Yeah, like town rallies around kid who needs wheelchair kind of.
Yes, but it's always like someone.
There's always a twist.
An individual getting their like all the people who don't like this person getting a comeuppance. But he is like involved in several real estate scams and frauds like early in his career, and then has like pivoted to being this guy, and then was made actually literally as in the movie where he's going to be the Secretary of National Morale. Dhar Mann was made the NFL Chief Kindness Officer this year for the Super Bowl.
That's
and then people dug up in his past all these weird real estate scams he ran, and it kind of led to a bit of a downfall for him.
Well, just because he's scamming real estate doesn't mean that he's not kind.
That's true. That's true.
You
Property
say that.
is theft, guys.
That is fair. Okay. Now, he is also like paying all of the people who are in these movies and his crew like under minimum wage, and they tried to unionize, and then he like fired them all. So he's but
then they started their own like Dhar Mann.
Well, I think what we've learned is that there's a lot of Lonesome Rhodes.
Always be Lonesome
and
Rhodes.
always has been.
Yeah. All the way back to
Cisalpine golf.
There we go.
And probably before there was probably some guy in like Sumer, like Those guys in Uruk don't know what we're about here with our grain and our cattle. Those guys in their fancy stone houses and we're living in mud houses. They don't get it.
They don't get it, dude.
They don't get
know
it.
what it's like for us
In Uruk.
folks. Let's get together. Yeah.
That was a deep Mesopotamian guy.
Nice.
Gilgamesh, you're
Probably
too young.
history heads.
Just let that sink in. Let the joke sink in for a second.
Do we have any parting thoughts before we get into ratings that we need to squeeze in that we haven't touched on? Last big thoughts before rating. Or do we want to just rate?
Let's go for it.
All right.
I just want to say Patricia Neal married Roald Dahl.
Oh. Well, and so that's good. That's good. I'm interesting. Anti-Semitism. No.
Always comes back.
Gotta give it one more. Well, the interesting thing I read about her is this was sort of a comeback for her. She had not been in a movie for 4 years because she'd had a very public affair with Gary Cooper, who was married at the time, and it was like such a stain.
Gary Cooper, another Lonesome Rhodes.
Yeah. And
Sorry, go on.
They're all Lonesome Rhodes.
They're all Lonesome Rhodes.
So it is like an
You're
interesting.
Lonesome Rhodes.
No,
Yeah.
calm down.
If
No,
he-
I'm
if
actually
he wanted to
just
be.
like I am.
I think we all know
You
who
can
the,
trust
do,
me.
Do you think we'll say it at the same time? Who's the Lonesome Rhodes at the store?
In this room?
At our store.
At your store?
At our store.
At Scarlet.
Were you talking about Bo?
Bo.
The B was formed like
Bo. He runs our book club and has a way about him, you know. It's just I think that he could turn the bookstore into like a militia if he wanted to. I'm just saying.
100%.
he could be a charismatic
That
leader.
excites
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
That excites me.
And we can say
I'd like to meet this guy. I've got some powerful friends that might want to know this Bo you speak
Yes.
of. My friends at the Herbalife company.
very interested. He'll never listen to this, so we can say whatever we want to say.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, you know what? He's too busy reading and being with people for
right.
your
Amenity.
highfalutin
Amenity.
podcast
True.
with your
That's true.
iPhone and your .coms.
You can wherever he is right now, he's with people. That's for sure. We can
right.
assume that.
All right.
He's with the people. All right, let's move on to the old reading portion of the program. Did we like the movie? Did we like the book? Which in this case was the short story, Your Arkansas Traveler, and which is better? Buzzy, would you kick us off this round, please?
I enjoyed both of them. If I were like, here's how I'm going to rate like confidence in recommending. I would say I'm more confident recommending the film
Okay.
than the shorts. I don't like in the realm of short stories, it's not an exceptional short story. But in the realm of film, I think it is maybe not an exceptional film, but like a noteworthy film.
Okay.
I think it's a good short story.
Yeah.
I think that's a very solid argument. Yeah.
I think I mostly agree with that. I did see the movie first, so I automatically want to say that, and I do think the movie is better. But yeah, the short story is it's like I don't know. It's so weird because I can only see it through the lens of like her voice from the movie, but it feels serviceable. It feels like the movie says more of what he wanted to actually say in at least a more interesting way to me. So I would say the movie.
Yeah, more the same here. Liked them both.
Yeah.
Both really. I mean, both very good. But yeah, I think the movie, like obviously Andy Griffith is such a powerful central performance. That like it's kind of crazy that this guy existed, and like because even in the short story, the way he's described is like this. He's like a hulking man. He's big everywhere. He's like a young Santa Claus, and it's like. How did he know about Andy Griffith? Like, was he already aware of him and was like wish casting him into the eventual adaptation of this? Because it is like a perfect description.
He manifested.
And it is like a really great and powerful performance. And the filmmaking is great. To echo Orson Welles, Elia Kazan is a traitor and a bad man, but he is a fine filmmaker. And so it's a really strong movie. And I would say, yes, it's worth the 2 hours of your time to certainly watch the movie. But the short story is good, kind of in the same way that we've done now 3 short stories.
Yeah.
It really
Swimmer's still
operates-
my favorite.
Swimmer is a really fucking
Because I
short
love
story.
both of those.
They're all
Yeah.
really good. But it like really works as like a premise. It's like a great use of adaptation to take a really good premise and tease it out into a more full-bodied adaptation. And that way I will go with the film.
It's interesting that you brought up the Swimmer because that I think that colored a lot of my reaction to the story as well. Because in addition to like I love the novel What Makes Sammy Run, I feel like this story, Your Arkansas Traveler, feels much more serviceable. I was thinking about how there's the same kind of compression in the Swimmer, but it's so able to also squeeze in the poetry in that short amount of time, in addition to sort of squeezing the sort of surreal narrative into that short story. I think the taking 10 years off only kind of burnished my reaction to the film. I think it is exceptional, in addition to being noteworthy. Not that you're wrong.
Right. Okay.
But that's my.
I'm kind of known for being right on TV.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. I didn't want to. I've been known to say things that like. So wait, is that confrontational?
I said maybe not exceptional because I don't feel like I have the authority to say it's exceptional, but somebody in this room certainly does.
Look, the folks at the Criterion Collection thought it was exceptional.
Those coastal elites at the Criterion. We don't know what we're watching down here in Cisalpine Gaul.
But like that's the thing is this in my personal experience, this went from like a sort of like little thing that like nobody knew about to now something that's like it's in the Criterion Collection. It's kind of essentially canonized, and I think it's worth it. Maybe largely because of the performances, because of Andy Griffith, because of Patricia Neal, because of Walter Matthau and Lee Remick and all that. I mean, again, as you said, Elia Kazan is a traitor and a great director. Budd Schulberg is a traitor and a great writer. And I think he is much better distilling the nuance into the screenplay than he was into the short story. Again, thank you, Buzzy, for. I didn't know that Budd Schulberg also named names, so now that colors my feelings about him as a person as well.
He's also a nepo baby.
I don't know if I knew that.
Oh, dropping this. Da, da, da.
Oh, my God.
His dad, Irving Schulberg, was like a big Hollywood executive.
Oh.
And so all of his like fuck showbiz kind of stuff is like, fuck you, Dad. You're full of shit. Right?
You weren't making
like, you know,
movies. You've been around.
Right. Well, I think, but it's
Can I
also
get an
like he grew up
internship?
seeing
Hearing
like
and seeing.
how the sausage gets made.
Interesting.
But Nepo babies.
Speaking of Nepo babies, I think actually, so maybe it was a little into the Trump presidency that I watched this movie. I think I was inspired to watch this movie because someone was trying to mansplain this movie to Zoe Kazan on Twitter, who was like, literally, my grandfather made it. You can stop talking to me.
There is something where. Sorry, I know we're done. We're done.
No,
I wonder
we got a little
what
time.
Alfred Hitchcock thought of this movie.
Ooh.
That's interesting. Just as like.
Period.
And no, I explain what you mean there, because I have when you say that I have some thoughts. But what do you?
Well,
what do you mean?
visually, it's very strong.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very striking. But there's also Hitchcock has said like a bomb going off is not suspenseful, a ticking bomb, and like from the second we get Lonesome Rhodes, he's a ticking bomb.
Mm-hmm.
He's ticking the whole time of the film. And so there was something that felt like this kind of like, and my discomfort the whole time, like I said, feels like you're in a Hitchcock film where you're just like, please let me like unclench.
Yeah, the softy effect.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. What do you think, Alan?
I don't know. He's
don't care enough.
just so full of shit from minute
Hitchcock?
one. No, not Hitchcock. Lonesome, that I didn't feel tense watching it. So I don't know. It's interesting. I didn't feel tense. I just kind of felt like I felt tense in Network because they're using his rage, his like genuine rage, to like turn it into a product.
Right.
And it morphs what he becomes. Whereas this, he's sort of like oh, here's an opportunity. I'm going to fucking just bleed the shit out of this. So I didn't feel the tensity of it while watching it.
I do wonder, and I guess I could have looked this up, but obviously just in terms of reactions, right? Because this movie's nominated for no Oscars. Nobody's like, I don't know what if it did well. I imagine it might not have.
Yeah,
honestly.
Seemingly forgotten for a
because it
little
seemed
bit.
to be pretty like
possibly
cultish.
Yeah, well, I was going to say like before I said the thing about this and Sweet Smell of Success, I think of the two, maybe Sweet Smell of Success did okay,
Yeah.
and I think this one probably was okay with the coastal elites, and that was about it.
Which always makes me which makes me wonder about like those. Is that better because it's like further disconnected from things that people in like the movie industry are affiliated with, right? It's like, you know what I mean? Like, how close to home is the sort of satire?
You saying they buried it because it was too real?
I mean, well like
more likely because they're traitors,
right?
Yeah,
that is
okay,
probably
so I
a
did
fair point,
I decided to look it up, and Francois Truffaut called it a great and beautiful work whose importance transcends the dimensions of a cinema review.
Good
but
Lord.
that's a French man
And
across
Spike
the ocean.
Lee credited the film with inspiring his 2000 film Bamboozled.
Oh, okay. Well,
And
Oh, wow.
yeah.
That's wow. Okay, yeah, that makes
kind of
sense.
see it.
Anyway,
But again, like that's
Sorry.
an outsider critic in France who loves the movie. But like what? Because I always think of like when Mr. Smith Goes to Washington comes out, it gets like universally bad reviews because it paints like people who work at newspapers as like a pack of jackals.
Right.
Like so, I wonder how if that had a similar effect here of like, hey, don't talk about TV and like the
Right.
media in a poor way. Like
pay no attention to that
Yeah.
man behind the curtain.
Exactly. Like I do wonder just generally what the reaction. Yeah, it's interesting. It takes a while for it to catch up, I guess.
I really should have watched the bonus features on that Criterion disc,
yeah.
but I didn't do it this time.
There was a whole bonus feature called Reaction. It was bad. No. Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, we did it.
We did it, guys.
We did that damn thing.
Good for us. So, Buzzy, you do have the. Is it just on Instagram or is it also on TikTok?
It is also
Buzzy.
on TikTok. Yeah.
All right. Beat Buzzy, which is a delightful bite-sized chance where folks on the street try to stump you on trivia.
And I'm just a regular guy on the street.
Just a regular guy on the street.
I'm just a regular, and I just happen to run into, Will Wheaton and like Barinholtz. Just a regular.
Yeah, and that's a delightful set of videos. You should check those out. Anything else you want to plug?
I want to plug people reading books.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep us in paychecks, please.
Yeah. And a book will never lie to you.
That's true. Unless it does.
Yeah.
yep.
Well, like, sorry, one more thing. Like being there, isn't that Herzog Kaczynski?
Yes.
Who was like famously later discredited for like having plagiarized one of his major works. From,
Yes.
like
The Bluebird or something?
something with a bird, white
Yeah.
bird, but something, and then like kills himself. So again, liars everywhere, you know.
Kind of a Lonesome Rhodes.
Kind of like Lonesome Rhodes thing.
Is this?
They're really everywhere when you start looking.
It's like they're tribbles, They
You just
Nice callback to something said before. Yeah. All right. On that wonderful note,
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for doing it
Pleasure.
again. We hope you keep coming back again and again and again.
We'll have, as long as the stories stay short.
Oh,
yes.
Love it. Okay, great. I'm not sure what we're doing next, but it's going to be great. So please keep listening to the Skylight Books podcast series. Please, please, please. Have a great one.
Bye.
bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Skylight Books podcast series. We hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to check out the book featured in this episode, or others, please visit skylightbooks.com. If you're in the Los Angeles area, stop by for one of our live in-person author events. You can find a calendar on our website. If you like this podcast, leave us a review. It really helps us out. Our music is by Duck the Piano Wire. Till next time.
This doesn't have to be in the podcast, but I've through my Jeopardy thing became friendly with Josh and Ben Mankiewicz, which is like a wild.
That is crazy. That is a line. Yeah.
There's a line there, and also, but I went to dinner with them and a friend of theirs who's worked in like local news, and I was just like, man, this is like some grandma's really exciting dinner. We've got Deadline, we've got TCM, we've got Jeopardy, we have the Weatherman at one table. Sorry, take all of that out of the podcast.
Really good.
That was just for our pure delight.
That was just for the Kazan of it all.
Yeah. Maybe this will be the post credit scene or something.
Yeah.
I would, where the mask comes off.
Exactly.
Where I'm actually hobnobbing with all these Hollywood types.
And then make sure you end it with some canned laughter.